So good afternoon, class. This is week 3, ITL 512, my personal literacy reflection. So question number 1 states, was learning to read hard or did it come easily for you? Learning to read was truly difficult for me as I grew up in a Hispanic household where I would speak to my mother in English and my father, I would speak to him in Spanish, since at the time my father didn't speak English, nor did he understand it. So unfortunately, when I would go to school and I would speak, I would cross a lot of my words from Spanish to English and English to Spanish. So that was a big part when I was growing up, that I had a lot of difficulty in learning to read. I would mix and cross a lot of my words due to the fact that I would speak 2 languages at home. So when I would come to school, I wasn't used to just speaking one. I would have to revert everything to English, so I had a tough time with that. Question number 2, what were some elements that assisted you with the process of learning how to read? An element that assisted me in the process of learning was I got language therapy and speech therapy, which I'm not sure what it was called at the time, but I would get pulled out of my class and I would read little passages and reading samples to train my brain to see the words in English instead of Spanish first. Secondly, I can remember reading at home with my mom every night for who knows how long, and that was very fun to have that memory of reading. I can also remember reading with my father, and pretty much that sucked. I was teaching him instead of him teaching me. I just remember my father would always have me read to him so he could pick up on some of the English words. So I just remember I never really liked to do that because I didn't really learn too much when I would do that. As adults, we laugh now because my father jokingly says that's where he learned English, from me reading kids' books to him when we were kids, when I was a kid. Question number 3 is, what do you hope to offer your students based on your experience? Excuse me. But I hope to show students the importance of reading and how it plays such an important role in your ability to communicate, self-advocate, and learn throughout your entire life. That being a good reader also allows you to learn, grow, and gain so much information to inform yourself and learn in the process. I want to show students that even at my age, I can continue to learn, grow, and read new books and information that shapes me as a person, father, and a teacher. Question number 4 is, discuss the storybook or young adult book that you have enjoyed reading. Provide basic information about the story, including author, illustrator, plot, and key details. Excuse me. The story I have enjoyed as a kid and as an educator is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. The author is Laura Joffrey Numeroff and illustrator is Felicia Bond. The story describes a set of events that occur after the boy in the story gives a mouse a cookie. This act of kindness sparks the mouse to ask a series of questions. He begins by asking for a glass of milk, which leads to additional requests from the mouse. With each event that occurs, the mouse wants something new, creating a vast amount of demands. In the end, the mouse asks for another glass of milk, which ultimately makes him want another cookie. The following question is, share your favorite part or page of the story. My favorite part of the story as a child was the idea that the mouse got to eat cookies and milk with the boy. This sparked my interest in having a little pet mouse, which never really ever happened. I was fascinated with the idea of a mouse eating cookies and milk. I also really like the illustrations that are in the book, as you can really see as a reader what the mouse is doing throughout the book. As an adult, I like how the mouse definitely self advocates for himself, is sure of what he likes, and the story just reminds me of my early childhood. Its fiction idea is creative, fun, and allows the reader to really step into that imaginational setting while reading this simple story. The following question is, what are the reasons you selected this book? I selected this book because I believe it allows for creative conversation and allows for readers to use their imagination at the possibility of a little mouse eating cookies and milk, doing chores, cutting his hair, having bedtime stories read to him, taking a nap, back to eating cookies is somewhat relatable since we have all done this activities throughout our life. It makes it easy for students to relate to the reading and allows for students to be able to construct ideas and cite textual evidence from the book. The following question is, why do you find it enjoyable? Excuse me, I gotta drink some water. Excuse me. I find it enjoyable because you can ask open-ended conversational questions to students to spark that creative cognitive side of the brain to articulate an idea and verbalize it to you or their classmates. It also allows fun. It's also fun to hear what students would feed this little mouse. I get a kick out of what the students would actually feed it or what they would do with it instead of eating cookies and milk. It's funny to hear the students say, I'd like to play video games with it, because back in the day, we didn't really have video games, so I don't think I would ever think of that back then. So it's kind of interesting to see what students create through this little interactive project. The following question is, how could you use your book selection for vocabulary or comprehension instruction? What strategies could you focus on while reading the book? Excuse me. So one vocabulary instruction I would ask of the students while reading the story is if they could verbally tell me something that the mouse asked the boy for besides milk and cookies. I think this question is imperative because it allows students to really dive into the book and give ideas of what they're reading. This would demonstrate to me text and literacy comprehension of the reading material and show that student can cite with textual evidence from the reading sample. I would also ask students the question, so how many cookies did the mouse eat in total within the story? I will ask students if they enjoy cookies, and if they did, what kind of cookies they enjoy. This would be my icebreaker into them knowing a little bit about myself and what kind of cookies I personally enjoy eating. So this was my personal literacy reflection. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.